5 reasons why you shouldn't invest in property right now. Hi, it's Nero here from Investment Rise, and as someone who helps others invest in property, a question I'm getting a lot of right now is, Nero, is now the right time to buy an investment property? And I think a lot of people are surprised when I actually say that often it isn't for many people. So in this video, I want to share the 5 reasons why I don't believe property is right for some people. Let's begin with reason number 1, and that is, you think the property market will be worth less in 10 years' time than it is right now. Look, I know at the moment that there are a lot of scary headlines in the newspapers about property markets crashing, yet we're already starting to see that the data is reporting something very different. In fact, many of the so-called experts who went on record to talk about property market crashing are now revising their price guides upwards. We're talking about investment banks like UBS. We're talking about major retail banks like CBA, all saying that, oh, look, that worst case scenario is now less and less likely to happen. We actually believe this, and there is a lot of forward momentum in the property market. But if you believe that the property market is going to crash, and I'm not just talking about property market falling over the next 3, 4, 6 months, no. I'm talking about the fact that you believe that the property market is so diabolical, things are so bad in our economy that property will not just fall, but it will stay depressed, and that properties in especially our major markets will be worth less in 10 years' time than they are today. If you truly believe that, then you definitely want to stay away from the market, right? Because it's a scary proposition. It'll be very, very uncomfortable, and you just don't want to get into the market. Now, do I agree with that? No, I don't, right? And I mean, if you've seen any of my past videos, I was one of the few that came out and said, look, the property market is not going to crash, and we're already starting to see evidence of that. And people often ask me, well, Nero, what makes you so confident in talking about what you think is going to happen in the property market? Because no one's got a crystal ball, right? The only difference is I've been investing now for 18 years. I correctly predicted the Sydney and Melbourne property booms back in 2011, 2012, when, mind you, at that same time, many people were saying the property market was going to crash back then, right? In fact, many of the people who are talking about the property market crashing in 2020 are the same people who said the Sydney and Melbourne markets were going to crash back in 2012. All right, so sometimes you've just got to look at, well, who's saying these things and what's their track record over the past few years. Okay, now mind you, that doesn't mean that I'm always bullish about property. In fact, in 2016, I came out quite strongly and said that anyone looking to buy an investment property in 2016, 2017 should avoid the Sydney and Melbourne markets. Now, at that time, I copped a lot of abuse, a lot of criticism online. In fact, I even got some abusive emails from, I think it was a couple of local brokers or real estate agents saying that I know what I was talking about, and that property always goes up in value, and that I should just quit my job. Yet we know that the Sydney and Melbourne property markets had their biggest downturn between 2017 and 2019. All right, so, and the reason why I guess I come out with these of my opinion and express them is because I have no emotion to what the market is. As I said, I'm not always someone who believes the market's going to rise, neither do I believe it's always going to fall. I simply look at what the data is saying and then interpret that as best I can. But if you're someone who thinks the market is gone and there's no chance of recovery, stay away from the property market. Then the second reason is that you don't feel secure in your job or your business. Okay, I get a lot of people saying, Nero, I think property's about to rise. I understand that the worst is over and I want to get in. Yet when we talk to them about their job or their business, it becomes very clear that the business is not secure at the moment in terms of cash flow, or they're working in an industry where there's potentially redundancies and restructuring. And so when you have uncertainty in your work life, the last thing you should be then doing is adding that level, an extra layer of complexity in buying an investment property. Okay, so until things are secure on the job front or income front and business front, you really do not want to be looking at getting an investment property. Then number 3 is you don't feel comfortable right now with your personal cash flow situation. So maybe you are secure in your job and everything is fine on that front, but you find that you're often spending more than you earn, or you're not even aware of how much extra money is left over. And so the concept then of going into debt or buying an investment property can be quite daunting and quite scary. So what I would recommend is first get your personal cash flow in order. Now, this doesn't mean necessarily that you have to be extremely anal and analyze everything, no, but you need to have at least a rough idea of how much extra money is left over at the end of every month. And you need to be comfortable with that amount. There's no set figure, it all depends on your lifestyle and your personal situation. But one thing I can tell you, if there is no extra money left at the end of every month, then buying an investment property, even if it's highly positively cash flowed, could still be a high risk proposition for you, because there may be times when the property is vacant for whatever reason. Maybe it's over Christmas or whatever. And if your personal cash flow situation is negative and you buy an investment property, you're really going to have a lot of cash flow stress and financial stress, even if the property goes up in value, right? So I would really look at getting your personal cash flow under control, having an idea of what's there and ensuring there's enough left over so that you feel comfortable before looking to get an investment property. Then reason number 4 is you're not willing to get yourself educated or get professional advice. Look, the number of people who I've spoken to over the last even just 3 years who bought a unit because they were either going in a shopping center and they saw this lovely display in the shopping center, and there was a nice guy selling the property, and they went ahead and bought that particular property. I mean, that's a scary proposition, because a lot of these guys who are sort of selling these properties in these situations, many of them have never bought a property or investment property in their lives. So how can you try to get advice from someone who's never actually walked the path themselves? They just don't know. Right? And so when you're not willing to get yourself educated or not willing to get professional advice from someone who's qualified, when I say qualified, I mean they've got the experience, they've been investing for a few years, they've made their own mistakes and learned from it, so therefore they can help you avoid your mistakes, or at least help you avoid making the same mistakes. So you want to make sure you're getting that advice. Otherwise, you're going to buy a unit somewhere that looks nice based off a nice pretty picture, or I've seen people go on holidays, feel really nice about an area, and buy a holiday unit and then struggle to get that rented. I mean, remember, when you're buying an investment property, it's very different to buying your own home, which when you're buying your own home, it's based on how you feel about the area, how you feel about the property, and what you like about it, etc. It's a very emotional purchase. But buying an investment property has nothing to do with emotion. It's all based on numbers. It's based on analysis of data. It's based on, really, you want to make your investment decisions based on evidence, not emotion. And if you are unaware of what evidence to look for, what questions to ask, you really need to make sure you get yourself educated, or just stay out of the property market completely. There are too many people who have gone and bought an off-the-plan unit, or something maybe on the Central Coast or Gold Coast, or wherever in a nice holiday area. And really, if you ask them now, they probably wish they'd never bought in the first place, and financially, they're probably better off not buying. So unless you're willing to get yourself educated or get professional help and advice and assistance, I'd stay out of the property market completely. Because remember, if buying an investment property was as simple as just buying something you liked in an area you felt familiar with, well, then wouldn't everyone be successful with property? Yet we know from the ATO that less than 2% of Australians, I think I'm being generous when I say that, but less than 2% of Australians have a large enough property portfolio to fund them in retirement. Okay, so you need to apply a lot more strategy. You just can't do what I guess the 98% of other investors do, which is buy on emotion. You need to buy on evidence and get yourself educated and or get the right professional guidance. I think the 5th reason, and this is again probably one of the most common mistakes I see people make when it comes to investing in property, is they buy because either their accountant told them to, or because they feel that they're paying too much in tax and they want to get some tax back. Look, don't get me wrong. Yes, buying an investment property gives you tax benefits. However, that should never be the primary reason why you buy an investment property. That should be the cream on top. The primary reason why you're buying an investment property should be for wealth creation in terms of capital growth and cash flow. You really want to be applying a wealth creation filter or framework to your investing decisions, not just on a tax perspective, because that's when people often go and buy, an off-the-plan unit or something in an area that looks nice, and the tax write-offs are good, but there's not a lot of capital growth potential there, and that can again cost you long term. So if you are someone who kind of believes any of these 5 things or falls into any of these 5 categories, then my recommendation is to stay out of the property market. Don't get me wrong, I believe that investment property is one of the best ways in Australia to build your wealth over the long term. There are some great opportunities from a wealth building perspective. However, you need to just make sure that property investing is right for you. Don't invest because of FOMO, which I guess is another reason. And what I mean by that is you're at a barbecue, you hear some of your friends have a couple investment properties, you go, oh gee, if they can do it, well maybe I should be doing it. And then you just jump in without getting the right education, right? So if you fall under any of these 5 categories, stay away from the property market for now. Get yourself educated, get your personal cash flow situation in order, and then look to get into the investment property market. Hope this video helps.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you found this video valuable and you're thinking you might like my help to help you find an investment property, then head on over to nerocall.com to discover our unique 5-step process that's helped my private client group purchase now well over $66.2 million worth of property. And then if you like what you see, you can book in for a half-hour phone consult with me personally. Either way, thanks again for watching.